All right, guys. Hi, I'm here again with Christine Alexandria. Did I get it?
You did.
Nice. That's good. I'm always concerned about getting people's last names right because mine is so hard to say. Mine is Ignatowski,
Right.
so lots of people get it wrong, and it is yeah, it's
Well,
always
I'll tell
interesting.
you why my last name is Alexandria because my married name is also a tongue twister. My maiden name, even though four little letters got massacred, couldn't go to my mom's maiden name because it's also a very good Polish Czech name. So I went with my real middle name. So Christine Alexandria is my real name, just not all of it, because that makes it easy to pronounce.
It does.
Yeah.
It's funny. I obviously don't look it. I'm half Filipino, a quarter German, and a quarter Polish. Of course, my last name comes from the Polish side of the family,
Obviously.
and I'm very dark, well, olive tone because of my Filipino. 50% of that, my mom is completely, you know. Okay. Anyway,
I know
Christine,
progression.
she owns Angel Chatter. She is a transformational coach, and she she's authored several books. One is a children's book called "Have You Ever Wondered About Angels?" Askfirmations, and then the most recent book is Angel Chatter. So I'm going to let you take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? Uh, what I love to do, Jeff, is help. I focus mostly on women, and it's not to say I don't have men as clients. I have some fabulous men clients, but the bottom line is helping people remember who they are. So it's not about healing, and we got to have to get rid of that block, or you must do this. There are some musts, but it comes down to let's take you out of the closet. Let's get you to stop hiding what you've been hiding for fear of being rejected, right? We talked about, your wedding and how, I don't want to say unorthodox, how unusual it is in the wedding world theme, just as our youngest daughter was in many, many ways. But you're being true to you. And that's what gets me excited. When I can help people remember who they are. And many women, we wear this mantle. We have to be a good girl. We have to do these things. And as the eldest for 7 years on both sides of the family, a lot of things were just naturally instilled in me that I had to do this, I couldn't do that, and all these things. And being the consummate people pleaser, so helping people do that, and how I do that is obviously with the help of the gang, the angels. And I realized, apparently I've been doing this my whole life, but I was hiding. I was hiding for a long time. And it wasn't until I had a reading, oh gosh, in my 30s, I think. It was a phone reading, and I was the only human in the house, and that does play into the story. And she calls in some goddesses, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Kuan Yin, Isis, women I've been working with. And then she calls in Archangel Ariel, who I had heard of, but I really hadn't worked intimately, or so I thought. And before I could monitor myself, I went, oh, Pinky! But I said it really, really loud. And I don't remember anything else about the reading. And my husband was traveling, and our daughters, they went to bed that night. So I'm in bed. I said, okay, everybody that was at this reading now, front and center. And I saw them energetically file back into the room. And when Ariel came back in, I went, it's you. And I got teary, just like I'm getting a little teary. And every time I tell this story, I get a little teary. And she's my guardian angel. And her color resonance is more red. But as a child, because she's the angel of courage, let's start there. So it's scary for people to be courageous. It's scary for people to stand up for who they are and simply be who they are. So she will soften her color to pink. Pink is approachable, pink is soft, pink is fluffy, pink is like, oh, you're so goody. So you get sucked into that. You feel comfortable with that. And the more comfortable you begin to be you, the more intense she becomes. So as an example, this medallion is Ariel's sigil that she gave me, I don't know, a year or two ago. And a client of mine does cloisonne for a living, and I helped her with something. So she gifted this particular pendant to me, and it came in red. And I loved it. It was, oh, it's empowering. I just go crazy over this. And then I obviously then ordered more to sell to clients and customers. And a lot of them came in pink. And I went, what's the deal? And that's when she shared with me the whole pinky to red coloring. And it's funny, one of my clients purchased one, and as she was having a reading, and I keep looking at it, she goes, what? I said, swear to God, your pendant's getting deeper in coloring, because she's realizing many things that have been holding her back, and was now recognizing it versus, yeah, I know, but now recognizing it, and not in the sense that she was not going to give it much more attention, because the more attention we give to anything, right, the more power we give it. So she's like, I can no longer want to focus on those things and and make them the cause of me being stuck. Yay. So now I'm going to focus on these things to help me be who I want to be. That was perfect. Absolutely perfect. So that's a lot of what I do. And that's you mentioned the books. My first product was my Oracle card deck. So I channeled the deck and guidebook in the course of 2 weeks. And then, because it was one of those things, Jeff, that it was time to take simplicity to a new level. People that have Oracle decks, they're beautiful. They're beautifully illustrated. And when the gang said, you're going to make your own deck. Well, first I fell on the floor laughing at them. I'm like, yeah, right. Who am I? And then I said, the world has enough decks. Hold the phone, shut your mouth. I'm like, all right, think of the decks you have. They're beautifully illustrated. Okay, yeah, they're supposed to be. That's what they said. Are your clients not paying more attention to the meaning of the illustration and losing our message? Okay, you got me. So that was the simplicity. So we tried a few renditions, and at best it looked like, a preschooler did it, which means it didn't look so good. So then a friend of mine said, what about symbols? Opened right up. So 44 cards, 14 angels. And so this is one of Michael's cards. So that's Michael's symbol. So the only illustration on each card is the abstract rose, because every message does indeed come from love. The angel's sigil, because a sigil is an empowering symbol. Think of a stop sign. We all know it's a suggestion because we don't pay attention to a stop sign. So a sigil is a symbol that is empowering, that actually strengthens your connection to that energy. And I figured that out thanks to y'all, my clients and customers, as I'm watching these things transpire at these many shows that we do. And people would hold up the card and they go, oh, that's Michael's card. And I'm going, how do you know this? Oh, because of the sigil. Okay, what's a sigil? So they're educating me. So every sigil has 3 things in common. They all start at the circle, they all end at the line, and then they can all be drawn in one motion. That's why they're scattered across my product line. They're on the labels of the aromatherapy. They're made into jewelry. They're made into bracelets. They're on the sun drops. It's because that's then empowering that particular product with that specific angel's energy and their mission. So Michael, Big Mike, in my world is all about protection. He's the patron saint of the police force in our country, protection. So it's just really cool. It's just, I love doing and seeing people get it, and they get the energy, then they come back for more because they're growing. And and then those books support that.
I think it's it's really neat, as we're connecting here, you're working with women and really helping them to find that power that they have inside. And I think that's so important because, for so long, all the stuff that's going on in our culture right now, and really women starting to come out and stand up for themselves. Right. Hey, listen, these things have been happening to me. This needs to end. And so I get a very unique take on that because I work with men almost specifically. Like I typically work with men, and it is all about honoring the people around us
There you go.
and really getting to that place and taking that time to really realize the power of the other people that are in our lives and that we connect with, and giving them the honor that they deserve. Because I think that that's what men have missed for so long. We've been so self-absorbed and only concerned about ourselves that we have forgotten to honor those people that deserve it around us. So
Yeah,
really,
it's a really interesting take on it because I agree with you. But one of the angels I work with is Camuel, Chamuel. Many people pronounce Shamael, but Camuel, heart chakra, angel of self-love. Now, this is going to, not to get into an argument, but this supports what you just said, but in a different aspect,
mhm,
because Camuel's directive is loving yourself first is not selfish, it's imperative. So it's not going about it being all about me from that egoic sense. You know, I have the best shirt, I've got the best hair. That's superficial. It's loving who you are at the soul level, because then the more we refuel us, we take care of us, whether it's exercise, meditation, you know, how many people actually do what they love doing for their living? Unfortunately, not many. So it becomes very, very superficial. So yes, it can become very me absorbed. But when you're working at it at a much deeper level, thanks to Camuel, then we have ample to give, not only to ourselves but to others, and not thinking about what's in it for me. Now I do that for Jeff, what's he going to do then for me? It's
yeah.
just, no, I can give freely and not have to worry about the flip side of it.
Well, I
And
think
yeah, and then we have a better, what I've noticed, because I'm their guinea pig, what I've noticed, the more I have to practice what I preach, the more I work on myself, then the more understanding I have of listening to another that may not have my line of thought. So again, you shared a little bit about your wedding, and it's like, wow, that is so different. But how cool is that? You know, because it really reflects who you are. You're not conforming to what you're supposed to do.
yeah.
And that's me. That's what I like, you know, helping you love yourself more. Again, not the egoic, but at that soul level. So you can do what you want to do, how you want to do it. Then you attract your tribe. You attract the people that are flying the same freak flag as you. Like, oh my God, there's one of me. So you start having fun with what it is that you do. And that, I'm afraid, is what's one of the things that's severely lacking in general, is that we got, as a society, have gotten so caught up in keeping up with the Joneses and conforming and doing all those crazy, weird things that many, unfortunately, have lost the essence of who they are as a really cool person. So you go about it in a different way. And I love the balance. You got the masculine, I've got the feminine thing going on. And it's about that honoring, like you said, of not just yourself, but of others. And
Yeah, I think
yeah,
we
together you and I will change the world.
I think I completely agree. It all starts with the personal work that we're doing with ourselves, right?
Right.
And I think that that's why we all need those coaches around us, those people around us, to really help us to see those things, so that we can really take that time to deal with any of the things that we have going on in ourselves, because everything that's going on inside is spilling out around us, right? Everybody is affected around us by
Mhm.
the, and
Yeah.
whether we believe it or not, energetically that is happening all
Oh,
the time.
without a doubt.
You
Without
know,
a
so
doubt. So
once
and
we
it's not,
can,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, once we can heal that and we can take care of that, then and only then can we share that love with other people and really honor those people around us. It all starts here. We nobody can change the world without changing themselves first,
Oh,
right?
agree.
We
And
have to
it's
change.
yeah, and it's really funny. Within our Facebook group, which everybody's invited to join, it's a closed group called Angel Chatter. Closed because we do keep it sacred. But there's been a conversation going around recently on how sensitive they're becoming to smells, like in grocery stores, like, because it's all chemical based. And people's their sensitivity is rising, which is why it kind of seems like everything's going south in a handbasket in many ways. But it's that sensitivity that is gurgling up because it's been suppressed for so long.
Yeah.
So it's being, I'm empathic and not using it as an excuse that I'm going to go and cry. My husband says, "Okay, your whole family. I'm gonna go drop a hat now so y'all can cry." But we're super sensitive at the core. From my parents to my sister, my brother, even though he pretends he's not. But it's that sensitivity that serves you well. And it's okay. Since a child walking down a cleaning aisle, I would do this, hold my breath and grab what I had to get and then run out as quickly as I could. And I'm still that way. So I'm very grateful that so many biodegradable products are now available. It's why, not to promote the product, but why my aromatherapy are only pure essential oils. They're not synthetic. I wouldn't be able to use them if they were synthetic. It's why they're not strong in scent, because I wouldn't be able to use them. It's that subtlety that actually has great power.
Mm. Yeah, I think, man, that's I think it's amazing when we can learn that one of the things that I really struggled with for a long time, and I have been able to move forward from this. But I always believed as men, we have this idea that, this is the way I am, and everybody should fall in line.
Right.
And we forget that everybody is different. Everybody expresses themselves differently, and that doesn't change the value of everyone else, right? So just because someone is super emotional, we can learn from that. We can learn how to tap into our own emotions, because for such a long time I was not an emotional person at all. So really learning how to tap into that. And my fiance is very empathic, right? So she is very emotional when it comes to that. And, really learning that and allowing her to teach me what should be done and how we need those emotions and how that can help us find clarity in our lives is incredible. But it's being open, it takes being aware, it takes putting that ego aside and really learning how to do those things and learn from the people around us. Again, that plays all in part with that thinking that everything that I have is the right way to be.
Exactly. That's I love it. That's exactly a lot of how I also operate. And when I first start talking in angels to new clients, it's always Michael first. And I often get asked why, and it's simply because I want to know that I've given you some tools so you can protect yourself. If you're now going to allow yourself or give yourself permission to be a bit more vulnerable, even meditation, right? We're meditating, we're praying to become inspired to get these messages. But yet we've gotten so caught up in I must protect myself, I must shield myself all the time, no matter who you are. By calling on Michael first, it allows you to relax into a deeper state when you meditate, and the messages that then come through, much more profound. And that's the same thing even in my book. I start with Michael first. Then, if we're like in the authorization course that I offer once a year, Michael, but then we start from the ground up. I work with Sandalphon because, how many people do you know in your world or been exposed to? I mean, they may be brilliant channelers, but they're so up here, they can't articulate the message. We have terms for them, airy fairy, space cadets, right? They're not grounded. And we're right. They're not in their body. One, because they're very, very sensitive, and it's very difficult for them to be in the physical body. Because let's face it, humans are dense, figuratively and literally. So by working from the ground up, it helps the readers of the book, it helps my students be more comfortable within their body, so they better understand, they can reach up here, get those messages, but be very grounded and often very matter of fact. You know, my dad's a chemical engineer. He's a brilliant man, developed formulas in college that they still teach. So very analytical. And, you know, that was half of my upbringing. And then here's my mom, the Polish goddess and, you know, domestic goddess. And it was this combination of allowing that intuitive side to come out, but then melding it with the analytical that I just naturally often would stay in my body to get messages. But, you know, not so much when I was little, because let's face it, chatting with angels is unusual, right? So I shut it down for a very, very long time. And it wasn't until I was in my late 20s, at the youngest, that I really began a bit more in earnest to deepen my connection with them. And I think we froze. Jeff, you there? Yeah, I can tell.
Still there.
Oh, there
Crazy.
you are.
Kim died. Must have like somehow, because it's plugged in underneath my table, and it just like was like, okay. I was curious.
I saw a frantic look on your face, and then you were dive bombing. I wasn't sure if it was the cat playing with the cord or what. Can we just blame Mercury in retrograde?
Yes. Crazy. There was one thing that you were saying there that I wanted to touch on that I thought was really interesting, that I'm finding working with men especially is important, is you mentioned vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think men, it's something that we're taught, you know, from a very young age, that we're not supposed to be vulnerable, right? That we're supposed to be strong. And, you know, I wonder if my video is playing. Is it? Can you see me?
I can see you, but you're frozen. But I can hear you fine.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, we'll keep going there because I don't want to hit the thing and then it shut it all down to begin with. I'm not sure how that works, but, you know, really taking that time to find that part of yourself and being vulnerable and allowing your partner or your whoever that is to really feel that and expressing that with them.
Yeah.
Things that my fiance is always saying that she appreciates so much about me is that I am very vulnerable with her. I'm able to tell her my fears and my struggles, and that enables us to deepen our relationship.
Sure.
And be, you know, where we can work together on those things. And she's always telling me, Jeff, look at everything you've done. Like, I have up on my wall right now, I have articles and stuff that I've written for several different magazines. And she's like, these things that you do, but look at what you've done already. And it's so great to have that support. But if we don't take the time to be vulnerable and express that to people, and we always hold it inside, we can never get that validation that we're seeking. We can never heal from those things and get rid of that fear if we don't take care of it and we don't speak it out there into the world to be able to be taken care of.
And it's funny, one of the things that you just said, if we can't speak it, articulate it, the same goes with our desires. Because, you know, there's so many people, you know, you, me, everybody has these desires of what we wish to manifest. And, you know, what we wish to experience in our world, whether it be love, health, travel, you know, our personal business or our careers, you know, all these different things. I know you really desire that particular car because, one, you're being selfish. How dare you want that? I actually had one of my students, over a year ago, she goes, "Oh, well, that's being selfish." And I went, "You have learned nothing. You have learned nothing." And she looked at me and she got this like sort of batting her eyes. I said, everybody can have what they desire, because your interpretation will be different than mine, will be different than his, will be different than your fiance's. So it's being vulnerable. That word for our word for today, children, is being vulnerable to ask specifically for what it is, and being able to say, this is why I'm here, and not feel, because here I am, I grew up in this little tiny town in Delaware, and now I'm doing what I'm doing, and I have books, and who do I think I am? And that was the whole oracle card. And they said, who aren't you? Everybody starts somewhere. And did I have a horrific childhood? No, I was very blessed. My parents are still alive, blessed again, so all these things. But there was that inner confusion of being intuitive, empathic, not knowing what those things meant, because it certainly wasn't talked about. So it's doing all those crazy things, but by being vulnerable, you begin to shed the chains that bind you, to coin that phrase. You begin to lighten the armor that you've put around you, to say, here I am. It's okay, whether you're a guy or a woman, to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because even with women, from my perspective, sometimes, okay, yeah, we're known as the weaker sex. We're known to be more intuitive, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean that, guys aren't that way. But at the same time, put your big girl pants on. Stop doing that,
Yeah.
and so it's for people in general, your emotions are not honored often, I don't want to say always, often from a young age.
Yeah.
So it works both sides, and it's okay. It's okay. And it's okay to do self-work. It's okay to pull back and reconnect and figure out who you are. Dig deep who you are, so you then can go out and have these crazy adventures, because that's what you want. But it's when we get caught up in that minutia of, oh, what are we watching tonight on TV, that we're not taking responsibility. I watch TV. I'm not TV bashing here, but we get caught into that monotony and that comfort of nothingness.
So one of the things you mentioned there, and this is completely off the topic, right?
Okay.
Where'd you grow up in Delaware?
Seaford.
Okay, I grew up in Wilmington.
Get out of town.
Yeah, so
you're above the canal. You would get that. I'm
Yes.
so below the canal.
Yes. So I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. Lived there for 17 years, and then moved to Pittsburgh and went to college in Pittsburgh. Graduated from that. Lived there about 3 years, and then I moved here to Ohio. Well, I live in Kentucky now, but right across the border. But so I saw that when I was looking to do research on your website that you were from Delaware, and I meant to ask that question. I didn't write it on here. I should have wrote it on here. I would have remembered.
But see, it came up anyway, right?
Yeah, I was like,
these burning things that people
where she lived. Delaware is not that big of a state, right?
No.
So
you meet one, you get giddy.
Yeah.
Really?
How close did you live to me?
My dad was a DuPonter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we lived right across the street from NVF Company, which was a huge company long time ago. Okay, so
sorry for the digression, folks.
So you were also talking about in there, which is really important, and was part of your talk, right? About manifesting your dream life.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we have all these belief systems around that from our childhood, a lot of times from our parents and how they, grew up, what they did in their life, the limitations that they placed on us, and especially in my generation and the generation before mine, their parents went and they worked in one place their entire life. Now we live in a society where people go and they jump around from job to job every year. And we used to believe that you go to one place, you work there for 30 years, they give you a pension, and that's it. And now we're getting into this place where people are starting to realize that the best way to live is to live in your passions, what you desire, what you want to do. And what I've found is that the best way, the best thing that go from not just using what I've learned and the lessons that I've had to learn, but now just giving that and contributing to the people around me. And I think whenever you get into that, where you're living in your passions, there is a component of contribution there that you're constantly trying to give back and share those gifts, whatever they are. Whether it's you're great at carpentry and you want to go teach a class and show people how to build things, whether you're an electrician and you want to show people how to build, I don't know, whatever electronic device it is. We're constantly giving back and showing the people around us, not just for their own help and their own transformation, but also to just give our gifts back and to give them to other people. For me, that is the most rewarding thing that I can do. That is what fills me up, is being able to give of myself that other people find help from that.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. That's one of the reasons I love lecturing, and and I get disappointed. I do one show. It's one show a year in Charlotte area. They actually don't allow questions in the lecture, and I'm going, okay, I get it from your perspective, but I so don't get it, because by answering questions from the audience, we get to hone in better. We get to dig a little bit deeper, because I don't take notes for my lectures, which used to drive my husband nuts because he's a bit of an organization freak. But then he realized it's all coming from here to here because I read the audience. Yeah, I have a topic, but then it will branch out depending on the needs of that audience. So it's that sharing of the gift that just, I get a high on it. I mean, who doesn't? If you're following your passion, just to be able to share that, and for them to see people go, should have had the V8 moment. They get that aha, and they're like, yeah, this is me. This is what I can now do, and it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I stand up and speak too, and that energy in just me. I remember when I was, because I pastored for 10 years, right?
Okay.
So I did that for a long time, and I was constantly standing up in front of people and going through schooling for that. We were encouraged to write out a manuscript, like write down word for word everything, and it never resonated with me because I couldn't just stand up there and talk, right? So I would end up with these small bullet points, right? I'd have a couple, like one word that would remind me what to say. But so often speakers get up there and they get tied to their whatever they're speaking, and they forget that it's the people that you're there to work with. So when things come up or energy changes in the room, it's time to move in a different direction. That may not be what's on the paper that you have in front of you, right? So learning to really tap into the needs and what people's emotions are, how they're feeling, and expounding upon those things is so important. Even in this, we talked about, hey, we're going to talk about your talk. We've been on for 33 minutes, and I think we've said about 5 words about that.
Exactly, right.
So,
it is. It's just, it's reading into that and simply allowing the flow. And what a metaphor for life. Yeah, we have an agenda, but it's, knowing that very few roads are really straight, right? There are going to be stop signs, there's going to be yield signs, there's going to be turns, there's going to be curves, there's going to be mountain, there's going to be ruts on the road. So it's not that these are barricades to prevent you, but a way to remind you to slow down a little bit, do a little bit of regrouping. What is it? What's your why? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to have that? And it's simply because I really love Bentleys. I think they're the coolest cars ever. That's not me. I'm making things up. There's nothing wrong with that. Why can't you have a Bentley? I mean, it exists for somebody. Why can't it be you? And frequently when we talk about manifestation, I ask people, how many flavors does Baskin and Robin have? And I get this like, huh? Because we're talking angels, now you're talking ice cream. I said 31 flavors. and they're still not connecting the dots. I said, everybody in this room or everybody that is listening right now may want ice cream, but you want your own flavor. Use that to go after what you want, to how you want to live. If everybody was meant to have the same thing, it'd be Stepperville all over the place. Every car, every house would be we would look the same. And what a yawner that is.
Yeah.
Right? So it's finding what gets you juiced up. And it's that that's what you and I talked about at the very beginning of this. People will live how they want to live, where they want to live, and with whom they want to live with when they begin to be a bit more vulnerable, when they allow themselves to dig a little deeper and not blame a death of a loved one, or that one's cursing me, or that one's doing that as the excuse not to step forward. And yeah, those things are real, the death, the curses, because I've had many of those things, but it's not giving permission to that thing to stop you. You pull back, you do a little bit of reflection because, okay, if that happened, what part of me allowed it, which may cause some kerfuffles from your listeners. Am I allowed to be cursed? In essence, yeah, because there's a part of you that said, I'm not worthy to have what I desire. So I'm going to throw something out there energetically that I can then blame. Yeah, that's a good thing. I don't think I'll do that. So we do these things and it's so subconscious. But and you know this, Jeff, that's how deeply ingrained it is within society at large I must have the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. I mean, we had friends when our daughters were little. One of her best friends, her family was her and her parents. They lived in a refitted chicken coop. And it was the coolest thing ever. And they were quite happy. And there wasn't a thing wrong with it. It had everything they needed and that they desired. And I was a little upset when they left that and built a more traditional house. Happy for them because that's what they wanted. But I was like, oh, part of me is like, are they giving up who they are by going there? I can't answer that. I didn't know them that well, but it's okay. We lived in our beach house, so Delaware. We're going now to Virginia to the Eastern Shore. We lived in our beach home on Chincoteague for close to 5 years full time, and it was the beach house, and you get Chincoteague, so Chincoteague. So it was the beach house. So it wasn't meant to be big to begin with. We're just a place to go and hang out. But living there full time, a whole new appreciation for having things close by. For starters, but when we moved to where we currently are, which is outside the Washington, D.C. area, I realized the home we live in now is at least twice the size of the beach house, at least. Probably bordering on 3, depending on how you calculate square footage. And my husband was like, this house is too big. I said, no, it's not. I go, I love having the space. I love having I like order. I'm not an order freak, but I like there at least to be an appearance of order. So I know where things are, and I like that sense where I can sit in a chair. And I realized that's okay if I want a larger house. That fits me. And it fits me that this larger house is right next to the woods where our dog and I will frequently walk 2 to 6 miles at a clip. We'll just go and get lost in the woods. That feeds me. It won't feed some people who really they love the concrete jungle. I don't get it, but it feeds them. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it's finding what makes you happy. And then going, this is how it goes. Something as simple as when we were moving to Baltimore years and years ago, we had another dog and he was starting to fail. And my husband had already moved to the area. So he was living in a furnished 3 garden apartment situation. And he was on the top floor. So get down to the apartment, because we're looking at houses. Get to the apartment. Our dog races up the stairs. He races back down. And that's the last time he decided he wanted to walk up and down. So I am now carrying this 45-pound dog up and down 3 flights of stairs multiple times a day, because I'm not sure if he needs to go or not, because he's getting older, right? So looking at houses, it became a soaking tub, became a nice thing to have. To, if it doesn't have it, don't even bother showing me, because that then became a deal breaker, because I really got cemented that 5-day period. I need to have a tub where I can just, I can detox, I can give back to me, I can relax. So is everybody a bath person? No. But it's finding those little things. And when you start adding those little things together, the bathtubs, the walk in the woods, getting, it gets you juiced up for what you desire. And then that gives you more power, that you're actually now can be a bit more vulnerable to share who you are, to be a bit more vulnerable, to ask for what you want, and then be even more vulnerable. Give yourself permission to receive it. That's as big of a nut or as easy as it sounds. Oh, of course I can receive that. Oh yeah? Then why don't you have it yet? Right?
How often do we allow ourselves to get in the way of our receiving what's coming? Like,
pretty much every time.
yeah, pretty much.
Every time.
It's amazing. People say, I want more of something, and then they're like, then they get right in the way, and they're like, yeah, but if I get that, then this might happen or that might happen, and we start doubting that, and that's exactly what gets in the way of us having what we really want. We get in our own way all the time. I struggle with it, in coaching, right? Coaching other people. You sit there and you think, yes, you're helping all these people, but there's still that doubt in your mind, like, oh my God, who am I?
Really helping them? Am I good? But and I do that. I do that dance too. But then after the lectures, or people will just prompted by me, will just all of a sudden reach out publicly saying, wow. Yeah. The weekend I had with you in your home for that private weekend changed my world. Wow. I don't know what you said, because sometimes we have couples here. I don't know what you said to him, but wow, something changed. So I get that back. I'm like, okay. We are doing good work here. We're just going to keep going, because the better and more comfortable I get with me, the better, more comfortable I get helping my customers and clients and my students, because I allow myself to be a bit more goofy with them. I don't have to be, the whole perfect thing. It's just, you're you. And through that, like I said earlier, you get your tribe, and your tribe, for us, you and me specifically, includes our clientele. It includes our support circles of who, not only from our spouses or future spouses, but the people say, wow, Jeff, that podcast you did on blah, 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 that needs to go viral. Let me help you do it. So you get that support, because you're now allowing yourself to be you. And, and it's working for me. It's working with the goddess energy. It's working with the angelic realm. So we're talking manifestation on and off, throughout our podcast today. And that's Haniel, Haniel. And Haniel works with the symbol, the sacred geometry symbol called the Vesca Pisces. So it kind of looks like 2 wedding rings, that thing. But years and decades, eons, lifetimes ago, our chakra system was the Vesca Pisces, going vertical. I know, right? It took me a while to kind of own that and be able to share it publicly. But if you think about it, a rainbow has 7 colors, right? The 7 major chakras. Does a rainbow go red, then a layer of orange, then a layer of yellow? No, is the right answer. It's red, because then it melds to create orange.
Mm.
You can't break that bond. If I'm layering, you can wedge something in there to break it apart. So the Vesca Pisces, one of the essences of it is that red is not responsible for making orange happy. It contributes to that magnification. So if we're working with the 7 major chakras root, I must feel safe, not to be confused with protection. I must feel safe, safer to be me, to allow that creative, juicy, sensual sexualityness of me to come forward, because that's sacral chakra. If I'm feeling more sensual, more alive, that's going to offer and support me becoming more empowered. Solar plexus chakra. So it's that building from the ground up. So by the time we get to the heart, we are then working more consciously from that essence of love. But then we are allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. We are allowing ourselves, giving ourselves permission to do what we want and how we want to do it. From the speaking to the intuitiveness and so on. So it's really crazy when you can start breaking it down in that manner. You're going, okay, kind of makes sense. It works.
Yeah. Cool. So we are running close on time. So we definitely need to have another conversation after this, because there is so much stuff to talk about. It is incredible. So tell everybody how to find you.
Okay, so my website is easy, angelchatter.com. You can also find me on social media, Instagram, Angel Chatter, also Christine Alexandria. I've kind of doubled up on both. And then, like I mentioned earlier, that it's really a fantastic closed group. It's closed because we keep it sacred. So you have to hunt for Angel Chatter on Facebook, which means you have to ask permission to join. And we kick people out periodically because they're not behaving, and it's one of those things that I only promote it on places like this. I don't take out advertising, so it's grown very organically. And the people in there, there are some that have become friends only to find, there's this really, these two really super cool women. They both now live in Raleigh. They both grew up in Connecticut, miles from each other, both moved to the Raleigh area, never met until they were members of the group. And that they're not the only ones. It's happened quite often within the group that these friendships form and bond. And then it becomes a physical friend, not just this online thing, but a physical, they can go outside and they can connect, and it's just amazing. I just happened to start it. It's everybody that's in the group that makes it up. So that's a great way. But, angelchatter.com, the website, and sign up for the emails. I do currently have a free gift. It's a chapter from my most latest group book. What kind of language is that? my latest book. It's Camuel, Angel of Self-Love. So it really builds on what you and I've been talking about today. It's that essence of honoring vulnerability, refueling your soul, that comes under the umbrella, under the wings of Camuel, so to speak, to give us permission to do that manifestation. So yeah, wow. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on with me and just chatting today and talking about all that stuff. It's awesome when it just flows, right? And you just allow it to be what it is and just enjoy it for that. So thank you. We will definitely talk some more.
I would love that, Jeff. Thanks.
Yeah. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.